The night sky was calm, full of stars, and the world was at peace. Families were resting in their homes, children were asleep, and soldiers on duty were watching the skies as they always did. Everything felt normal, until the stars began to vanish one by one. At first people thought it was clouds. A storm maybe, but there were no clouds, no storms. Only a strange shadow that grew larger and darker. The shadow was not natural. It was the size of continents. The stars disappeared behind a wall of metal. An armada of warships had entered Earth's skies. The ships were massive, shaped like blades and mountains. They moved with silence, yet their presence screamed of danger. Cities below noticed them almost at the same time. Crowds filled the streets, pointing, shouting, recording. News networks tried to make sense of it. Governments called emergency meetings, and satellites zoomed in on the strange visitors. The Imperial Armada had arrived. They did not speak. No greeting, no warning, no message. They came like predators. Earth had always imagined the day aliens would come. Some thought they would come in peace. Others thought they would come in curiosity. But this armada came in hunger and conquest. World leaders tried to send messages, radios and signals shot into the void. But no reply came back, only silence. The alien fleet moved closer, dropping lower, filling the skies with their dark steel hulls. Then, without warning, light exploded from the ships. Blazing fire cut across the heavens. In one instant, satellites burned and died. In another instant, entire defense stations in orbit shattered into dust. Earth's early defenses did not even fire once. They were destroyed before they could act. The streets of the world fell into chaos. People screamed, some ran, some prayed. The news cameras caught the first beams of alien fire raining down. Cities near the ocean saw pillars of light hitting naval bases. Buildings collapsed as shockwaves rolled across the ground. It was the first day of invasion. In the underground bunker of the United Nations Command. Alarms screamed, generals shouted orders. World leaders demanded answers, but no one had any. They had planned for many wars, but not for this. Humanity was not prepared for an armada of such size, or so the invaders thought. The alien warships spread like vultures. They destroyed Earth's satellites one by one. They cut off communications. They wanted Earth blind, helpless, and afraid. But in their arrogance, they never noticed a signal too small to detect among the chaos, a signal that came from deep inside the Earth, somewhere under the oceans. Hidden in forgotten bases, machines woke from sleep. Deep inside the moon, hangars opened, revealing steel giants on Mars. Secret facilities powered up engines that had never been tested in war. Humanity had been hiding something. The Armada commander looked upon Earth with disdain. To him, this world was weak, backward, and unworthy of resistance. He thought this battle would be over before the sun rose again. His warships were larger, faster, stronger. He had crushed 100 worlds before, and Earth was nothing to him. Yet far below, the signal continued, moving across secure lines, awakening systems the invaders could not understand. Humanity had known long ago that one day the stars might not bring peace. They had prepared in silence, they had built weapons in secret. They had hidden fleets where no one looked. The first wave of the invasion rained destruction. But it was not the end as fires burned across Earth's cities, as civilians fled in terror, as the world trembled under the weight of alien power. A new voice rose inside the bunkers. It was not a voice of surrender. It was a voice of command. The order was clear. Activate Project Aegis for a moment. Silence filled the bunker. Some officers froze, others gasped. They had trained for this moment, but never thought it would truly come above Earth. The alien fleet continued its assault, confident in its power. The commander of the Armada laughed as human defenses crumbled. He believed victory was already his. He believed Earth would kneel before his emperor. But deep inside the oceans, doors of steel opened. Towers of water exploded as massive ships rose from the depths. Their engines roared like thunder, lighting the waves with fire. On the moon, hidden bays cracked open, and long black ships crawled into the light from Mars. Fleets that had waited for decades finally launched. Their hulls glowing as engines lit the dust-red skies the Armada did not yet notice. Their pride made them blind. They thought Earth weak. They thought humans had no teeth, but soon, the sky would burn with more than alien fire. Soon the hunters would become the hunted. And the galaxy would learn that humanity was not so easy to conquer. The invaders thought Earth was weak. But they were wrong. Deep under the mountains, far away from the burning cities, the world's leaders sat inside the United Nations command bunker. The air was heavy. Screens flickered with fire from across the globe. Every channel filled with reports of cities falling, ships burning and the skies crawling with alien giants. The people of Earth cried for help, and in this bunker the answer waited. Generals shouted over each other, voices shaking with fear and rage. Presidents and prime ministers demanded solutions. Some wanted to negotiate, some wanted to surrender, but there was no voice on the other side. The Armada had given no demands, no mercy, only destruction. And that silence was the most terrifying of all. Then from the shadows of the bunker, a calm voice rose. "We cannot beg, we cannot run. We must fight." The room froze. Every eye turned to the man who spoke, General Soren, the keeper of Earth's greatest secret. His words carried a weight none of them could deny. He pressed a hand against a console, and with that touch the room changed. A wall lit up with hidden files, layers of secrecy peeling away. The leaders gasped as images appeared. Massive warships resting under oceans, hangars inside the moon's crust, engines glowing red beneath the surface of Mars. For decades, Project Aegis had been built in silence. The truth was revealed. Humanity had not been blind to the stars years ago. After strange signals were intercepted near the edge of the solar system, a decision was made. They knew something was out there, watching, testing, waiting. So they built Aegis, a fleet not meant for war against themselves, but for war against whatever came from the stars. But this secret was not known to all. Only a handful of leaders, scientists, and soldiers had ever seen the truth. For the rest of the world, the warships were myths. Rumors or abandoned projects. Now the myths were real, and they were humanity's only hope. General Soren's eyes burned with fire as he spoke. The Armada believes we are weak. They see only the surface. They do not see the teeth hidden below, but tonight we show them. Earth will not fall without a fight. Orders were given. Deep codes unlocked and ancient machines roared awake. Far under the Pacific Ocean, metal doors the size of cities opened with a groan. Water thundered as titanic warships rose from the deep. Their hulls were dark, covered with scars from old tests, yet their engines burned bright. They had waited in silence. Now they climbed to the surface like beasts of steel. On the moon, secret bases cracked open, revealing squadrons of sleek black frigates. Their bodies were carved for speed. For stealth, their weapons hidden until now. They lifted into the void, forming packs like wolves circling their prey on Mars. Crimson dust storms swirled as launch bays fired open. Great carriers built in the red canyons ignited their cores. The ground shook as these giants lifted into the thin Martian sky, engines roaring like thunder gods. They had been waiting decades, their crews trained in silence, ready for this very night. The Armada above Earth still rained fire, cities still crumbled, but soon, the hunters would see that their prey was not weak. Inside one of the new rising warships, a young pilot named Ilara sat strapped into her seat. Her hands trembled as alarm screamed. She had trained her whole life for this moment, but training was never the same as war. She looked at the burning cities on her screen, at the alien shadows blotting out the stars, and fear squeezed her chest. Then her commander's voice came through the channel. "Remember who we are. Remember why we fight. They think we are prey. Let us remind them we are predators." The words lit a fire inside her. She gripped the controls tighter. Her fear did not vanish, but it turned into something sharper and resolve. As the fleets assembled, a strange quiet fell over Earth. The world was burning, yet hope was being born in steel and fire. From the depths of the ocean to the skies of Mars, humanity's warships were rising in orbit. The Armada commander sneered at the chaos below. He did not yet know of the fleets climbing to meet him. To him this was still a hunt. To him Earth was still helpless. But far away in the darkness of space, new signals blinked across the stars. Formations of ships linking their coordinates, strategies being shared in silence. Humanity's unity was awakening. The first orders were given. The fleets were not to attack yet. They would gather. They would strike together. Aegis was not just about firepower. It was about coordination. Traps, precision. The countdown began. Voices echoed through command centers. Launch confirmed, fleet assembling. Awaiting strike orders. The leaders in the bunker felt the weight of history. No one spoke of surrender anymore. No one doubted. They knew that humanity was about to reveal itself to the stars. And above them, the Armada would soon learn the truth. The invaders had arrived to claim a world of slaves, but instead they had woken lions. Earth was no longer a victim. Earth was a battlefield. And the battle had only just begun. The blackness of space shimmered with fire. Broken satellites drifted like shattered glass, their fragments spinning through the void. Below, Earth burned in silence, the glow of ruined cities painting the planet in red and gold. Above, the Imperial Armada spread its wings across the sky, 1,000 warships strong, their hulls gleaming with cold silver light. From the shadows beyond the moon, the first human fleets emerged. Engines blazed blue, weapons armed, hulls dark and sharp. They were smaller than the alien cruisers, thinner, less elegant, but they carried a kind of hunger the Armada did not understand. General Soren's voice echoed across every channel. Tonight, the world does not fight as nations. Tonight, we fight as one. For every city burned, for every child lost, we rise together. Humanity stands united. In the command seat of her ship, the resolute Dawn, Ilara stared at the enemy ahead. Her hands clenched the controls. Her heart raced faster than the engines. She could feel the weight of millions watching from Earth below. If she failed, humanity would burn. The Armada commander studied the approaching human fleet with disdain. His eyes narrowed. He had crushed fleets 10 times this size. He leaned back on his throne and gave a single order. Destroy them. Alien warships shifted formation, their cannons glowing with light. Streams of plasma fire streaked across the void. Each beam cut like the hand of a god. A single hit could break mountains. But the humans did not meet them head-on. They scattered, weaving like a school of fish, dodging, turning, slipping through the fire. Alien weapons struck empty darkness. Human ships darted into their blind spots, firing back with precision. Explosions blossomed in silence. The first alien cruiser shattered, its hull cracking apart like glass. Another followed, torn open by missile fire. The Armada commander's eyes widened. These humans were not running, they were hunting. Ilara's ship streaked past an alien destroyer. She fired torpedoes into its belly. Her vessel shuddered as shockwaves hit, but the enemy ship broke apart in a burst of light. She screamed in triumph, "Direct hit!" Across the fleet, voices cried out in victory. Humanity had drawn first blood, but the battle was only beginning. The Armada responded with fury. Dozens of alien warships shifted. Surrounding the human fleet, their weapons burned brighter. Fire rained down in every direction. Ships of Earth exploded one by one, swallowed in storms of plasma. Ilara gritted her teeth as one of her comrades vanished from the radar. She wanted to scream, but there was no time. "Hold formation," her commander barked. "Do not break." "Do not give them what they want," the humans pressed on. Their tactics were not about power, but about coordination. Small ships darted between the giant alien hulls. Attacking in packs, a destroyer would distract. While a frigate struck from below, a cruiser would bait. While stealth fighters stabbed from the shadows, it was not elegance, it was not beauty. It was survival turned into art. Humanity fought like cornered predators. Every move sharp, desperate, but clever. The Armada commander rose from his throne, his voice a growl. "Impossible. They are primitives. They should not even reach orbit." And yet, another alien warship burst apart before him. The shockwave shook even his flagship. His pride boiled into rage. No more games. Unleash the scythes. From the alien fleet, new weapons unfolded. Long curved beams of energy slicing across the void. Entire squadrons of human ships were carved apart, sliced into glowing wreckage. Ilara's screen filled with static as her ship shuddered. She pulled hard at the controls. The beam missed her by seconds. The resolute Dawn spun through debris, pieces of burning metal scraping its hull. The humans were bleeding. For every alien ship destroyed, 2 human ships were lost. The commanders knew the truth. If the battle continued this way, Earth would still fall. But General Soren had not played his last card. From the far side of the moon, a new signal appeared. More ships entered the fight. Massive carriers. Hidden until now. Their bays opened, releasing swarms of drones. Thousands of small machines lit up the void, darting between alien hulls like hornets. The Armada's weapons struggled to track them. Their beams cut many down, but too many slipped through, tearing engines apart, ripping holes into cruisers. Human fleets surged forward with them, pressing the attack. Ilara's heart pounded as she followed the swarm. Her torpedoes slammed into another alien cruiser. She shouted over the comms, they bleed like us." For the first time in his long career, the Armada commander felt doubt. He slammed his claw against the arm of his throne. His voice thundered across the fleet. "Do not falter, we are the Empire, they are insects, crush them." But the humans were not insects, they were fire. The battle raged on. Ships exploded in waves of silent light. The skies above Earth became a graveyard of wreckage. Every minute felt like an eternity. Every life lost was another flame feeding the fury of the survivors. As dawn broke on Earth below, the first clash in orbit neared its end. Humanity had destroyed far more ships than the invaders expected, but the Armada was still strong. Still vast, still endless, and in the distance, the shadow of the Emperor's flagship loomed. It had not yet moved, it had not yet fired. The first battle was not the war, it was only the beginning. And though Earth had struck with fury, the true storm was still waiting in the dark. The Emperor of the Imperial Armada sat upon a throne carved from black crystal. His throne room stretched like a cathedral of steel, windows wide enough to show entire galaxies drifting in the dark. Servants bowed low, afraid to breathe too loudly, afraid to draw his gaze before him. The High Commander knelt, armor scorched from battle. His voice trembled as he spoke. "Great Emperor, the humans. They resisted, they destroyed ships. They fight as though they were born for war." The Emperor's golden eyes narrowed. Silence filled the chamber, and then a low, dangerous laugh broke it. "Primitive creatures, fire barely tamed. Yet they dare to wound the Armada. They dare to stain my name with their defiance." He rose slowly, his robe dragging across the cold floor. Every step made the commanders lower their heads further. His voice was like a blade. This world was meant to be crushed in moments. Their cities burned, their people enslaved. "And yet you tell me they fight?" "Yes, my Emperor," the High Commander whispered. "They are not as weak as we believed." The Emperor's laugh grew sharper, but there was no joy in it, only fury. "Then we shall remind them of what we are. We are not raiders. We are not pirates, we are the Armada. The hammer of 1,000 conquered worlds. If Earth will not kneel, then Earth will burn." With a wave of his hand, new orders spread across the fleet. Weapons long forbidden for ordinary wars were armed. Massive warships shifted, their cores glowing with unnatural light. These were not just weapons of battle. They were weapons of terror. From orbit, the skies over Earth darkened again. The Armada unleashed storms of plasma upon cities. Entire blocks vanished in seconds, oceans boiled where the beams struck. Firestorms spread like claws across continents. In New York, towers of steel melted like wax. In Shanghai, bridges crumbled as rivers turned to steam. In Cairo, whole districts vanished in a single flash of light. The Armada was no longer aiming at defenses. They were aiming at humanity itself. On the ground, people screamed. Millions ran with nowhere to run. The earth shook under the weight of destruction. Yet in the chaos, something unexpected happened. Instead of surrender, humans grew angrier. Soldiers shouted louder. Civilians formed rescue lines. Families dragged strangers out of fire. Humanity refused to break inside the United Nations bunker. General Soren slammed his fist against the table. His face was pale, but his voice was steel. "They want to crush us with fear. They want us broken before the war ends, but fear will not win today. Activate the countermeasures." Around the bunker, officers scrambled. Codes were unlocked and hidden systems engaged. Satellites cloaked in shadow flickered awake. Beams of energy lanced from the ground, striking alien ships in low orbit. One cruiser fell from the sky, smashing into the ocean in a wave that shook the coasts. The Emperor watched from his throne as one of his warships died. His smile returned, but it was thin and cruel. "So, they show their fangs, good. Let them bare their teeth, the more they fight. The sweeter their despair will taste when I rip it from them." The Armada's counterfire was merciless. Human weapons struck like knives, but alien retaliation fell like mountains. Each victory was drowned in new losses. Every city defended was another city burning. On board the Resolute Dawn, Ilara wiped blood from her forehead. Sparks rained inside the ship as fires burned through its corridors. Her crew shouted over alarms. Some systems were dead, shields failing, and yet they fought on. Through the cracked glass of her screen, she saw alien beams slamming into the world below. Her chest ached, rage boiling hotter than fear. "They burn us alive," she whispered, "but we will not fall." Her commander's voice answered through the comms. "Listen well, the Emperor himself has moved against us. His weapons burn our cities, but he has revealed his hunger too soon. And hunger blinds the hunter. We will turn his fury against him. The order came next. Not retreat, not surrender, but preparation. The human fleets began pulling back, not in panic, but in precision. They lured alien warships further from orbit, drawing them into traps hidden among the shadows of space. The Armada commander aboard his flagship sneered. They run. Finally, they understand. But in his arrogance, he did not see the patterns forming. He did not realize he was being drawn further from the protection of the Emperor's flagship. In the bunkers, leaders argued. Some believed Earth would still fall. Some shouted for peace. But General Soren silenced them with a single command. His eyes burned with cold fire. We do not beg monsters, we destroy them. Remember this, while every world they crushed believed they were alone. But we are not alone, we are humanity, and together, we are unbreakable. As his words spread across the fleets, across the soldiers, across the frightened civilians hiding in basements and tunnels, something shifted. Fear turned into defiance. Defiance turned into fury. The Emperor leaned back in his throne. Watching Earth resist, his voice was soft, but the cruelty in it was endless. Let them rage, let them fight. In the end, they will kneel. And when they do, their spirit will be the first thing I burn. But even as he spoke, signals flickered across human channels, codes shared in silence, movements hidden in the dark. Humanity was building something, preparing something. The Emperor's rage had pushed them, but his pride blinded him, and in the growing storm of fire, one truth was beginning to rise. The harder the Armada struck, the stronger humanity's will became. The Emperor thought Earth was breaking, but in truth Earth was sharpening, and soon, the blade would turn against the hand that struck it. The void beyond Jupiter shimmered with silent storms. The gas giant swirled in colors of fire and gold. Its storms older than civilizations for centuries. It had been a place of quiet wonder, but tonight, it was about to become the graveyard of giants. Humanity's fleets moved into the shadows of the planet. Engines low, signals masked. Hundreds of ships slid into formation, each one scarred from battle but unbroken. They hid among the moons, inside asteroid fields, and in the deep shadow of the planet itself. Waiting, General Soren stood aboard the command carrier Iron Will. His face was lit by the glow of tactical screens. Around him, admirals and captains watched in silence. The plan they had built was desperate, dangerous, and simple. Trap the Armada. The Emperor believes us weak, Soren said, his voice low but sharp. He believes we scatter. He believes his fury breaks us, but fury blinds him, and a blind predator is prey across the fleet. Pilots strapped into their cockpits, their faces pale but steady. In one hangar, Alara prepared her ship, the Resolute Dawn. She checked her systems 3 times. Fingers trembling, she thought of the burning cities, of the millions lost, of the Emperor's laugh echoing in the dark. Her fear hardened into something sharper. Dawn, you are clear for launch, her commander's voice said. She whispered back, we'll make them pay. The Armada approached with arrogant confidence. Warships spread across the void, their numbers overwhelming. Their lights painted the blackness in cold silver. Their formations moved like a storm front. Their commanders sneered. They hide like vermin behind rocks. Sweep them out. Alien ships surged forward, their scanners sweeping. Their weapons glowed. Beams of energy struck asteroids, shattering them into dust. But the humans did not move. Not yet. The Armada pushed deeper into the shadow of Jupiter. Their pride grew with every moment of silence. Then at the exact second, the trap snapped shut. Human warships burst from the dark. Engines flaring, weapons screaming, missiles streaked across the void. Drones poured out like swarms of hornets. Lasers cut across alien hulls. The first wave of cruisers was torn apart before they could react. Explosions lit the void. Shockwaves rippled through the Armada's formation. Panic crackled in their channels. Ambush, ambush! Alara's ship darted between giants. She fired torpedoes into the belly of a destroyer. Its hull split open, fire bursting from its core. She spun away as wreckage scattered around her. Her heart thundered, but her voice was steady. Target destroyed, the Armada reeled. But they were still vast. Their ships turned with fury. Beams of plasma lanced across the void. Human ships exploded one after another. Their screams filled the comms. General Soren gave the second command. Activate the net. Hidden satellites and drones came alive. Hundreds of small machines linked their systems, creating a web of energy around the Armada. The alien fleet's movement slowed, their signals jammed, their sensors blinded for the first time. The predators were trapped. The alien commander roared in fury. Break them. Tear them apart. Warships slammed against the net. Firing wildly, their weapons shredded drones. But the humans pressed in tighter. Strikes came from every angle, coordinated with deadly precision. The Armada was bleeding. Warships fell one by one, bursting into flames that lit the dark like dying stars. But the cost for humanity was heavy too. Each victory was bought with sacrifice. Each explosion claimed lives they could not replace. Inside the Resolute Dawn, alarms screamed. Ilara's ship shook as plasma beams grazed its hull. Panels burst into sparks, her co-pilot shouted. Shields at 20%. Hold the line! Ilara cried. Her ship swerved, narrowly avoiding a beam that would have split it in two. She fired again, her torpedoes slamming into another alien cruiser. It shattered in a burst of light. The Armada commander's rage turned into doubt. He slammed his claws against the controls. His voice broke with fury. How do they fight like this? How do they endure? The Emperor's face appeared on his screen. His golden eyes burned with cold fire. Do not ask how, Commander, crush them. Or I will crush you. The commander swallowed his fear and drove his fleet harder. The battle raged for hours, ships shattered, debris scattered. The void became a storm of death finally. The Armada began to break the net. Their firepower was too great. They tore through the web of drones, their numbers still vast. Their power still terrible. Humanity had struck hard. But the Armada still advanced. General Soren's jaw tightened. He knew what came next, the final phase. The most dangerous move of all, he turned to his officers. Prepare the spear across the fleet. Systems armed a weapon never tested in real battle. A concentrated fusion lance designed to pierce even the Emperor's flagship. But using it would drain entire ships, leaving them vulnerable. Ilara received the order. Her chest tightened. She whispered to herself, "We don't have a choice." The human fleet pulled back. Ships forming a corridor, the Armada charged, thinking their prey was retreating. But at the heart of the corridor, energy gathered. Blinding light burning across the dark, the spear fired. A lance of pure fury cut through the void. It slammed into the lead alien battleship, tearing it in half. The shockwave ripped through nearby ships, scattering the Armada's formation. For a moment, silence fell. Humanity had shown its deadliest strike. The Armada reeled, but even as cheers filled human channels, General Soren's face darkened, his eyes fixed on the shadow that still loomed in the distance. The Emperor's flagship had not moved. It had not fired. The Armada was wounded but not broken. The true battle was still waiting. And in that silence, every soldier, every pilot, every leader understood. The war was only sharpening. The storm ahead would decide everything. Jupiter burned behind them, fleets torn and bloodied. Humanity had survived the trap, but the Emperor's wrath was yet to come. The storms over Earth grew darker with every passing day. Smoke rose from broken cities. Oceans boiled where fire had struck, and the skies were scarred by the wreckage of falling ships. Humanity had struck back at Jupiter, but the Armada still stood strong. The Emperor's flagship remained untouched. Watching, waiting, patient like a predator. In the United Nations bunker, silence filled the command hall. Maps of the world flickered red with destruction. Leaders sat with hollow eyes. Generals spoke in hoarse voices, yet behind the despair, something else lingered. A secret too heavy to remain hidden any longer. General Soren stood at the center of the chamber. His uniform was torn, his face bruised, but his voice carried iron. The Emperor will not stop. We have bloodied him, but he has not yet bared his full strength. If we fight him with only steel and fire, we will lose, murmurs filled the room. Some shouted back, then what hope is left? Others begged for surrender, but Soren raised a hand and silenced them. His gaze was steady. There is one hope, a weapon older than the Armada. A weapon buried before Earth knew its own name. Gasps echoed through the bunker. The leaders stared in disbelief. Soren pressed a code into the console. The wall lit up with images never seen by most of humanity. A frozen continent. Antarctica, vast and silent, beneath its ice lay structures not of human design. Decades ago, Soren said, his voice low, explorers uncovered ruins far older than mankind. Not ruins of stone, but of machines, an ancient vessel hidden under the ice. It was not built by us, but by those who came before. We studied it, we learned from it, we stole its secrets. And from it we built Aegis, but the ship itself. It still waits, sleeping. The room fell into silence. The truth struck like thunder. Humanity's sudden leaps in technology. The fleets hidden on Mars and the Moon. They had not been born of human genius alone. They had been gifts or warnings from an ancient race long vanished. One leader whispered, "You mean, we are not the first to fight the Armada?" Soren nodded. "No, we are not. Those who came before left us their blade, and now it is time we awaken it." At once orders spread across the world. Convoys of soldiers and scientists raced toward Antarctica. Storms howled over the frozen land, but beneath the ice, machines stirred. Ilara was one of the chosen pilots sent to guard the excavation. She had seen alien fire tear through her cities. She had watched friends vanish in flames. Now, as she looked upon the glowing walls of ice, she felt something more than fear. Awe. The ground split as drills cut deep, revealing a vast chamber, and there it was in the Guardian. A warship unlike any human design, its hull was black stone fused with steel, its surface carved with symbols that pulsed with faint blue light. It looked alive, sleeping under the ice, waiting. Scientists rushed forward, their voices trembling with excitement and terror. They spoke of power sources that defied physics, of weapons that could burn through mountains, of shields stronger than anything humanity had built. Ilara touched the icy wall, staring at the sleeping giant. She whispered, "This is what they feared. This is why they underestimated us." When the Guardian awoke, the world trembled. The ice cracked and thunder roared as the ancient ship rose from the depths. Its engines glowed like suns, melting the frozen wasteland into rivers of steam. For the first time in countless ages, the Guardian breathed in orbit. The Armada saw the rise of the giant. The Emperor himself leaned forward on his throne. His golden eyes narrowed. What trick is this? Reports flooded in from his commanders. The humans had unleashed a ship unlike anything seen before. Ancient and terrible, it was not their creation. It was something older. The Emperor snarled. So, the ghosts of the past crawl from their graves. Do they think a relic can stop me? I have slain empires older than this world. But his words carried a shadow of doubt. The Guardian lifted into the sky, dwarfing even the largest human ships. Its weapons hummed with power not of Earth. It joined the fleets in orbit, its voice echoing through every human channel, not mechanical but deep and resonant. Guardians of Earth, awaken. The fire of the ancients burns once more. Ilara sat in her cockpit, tears stinging her eyes. She had never believed in miracles, but as the Guardian rose beside her ship, she felt one unfolding before her. Humanity was not alone. They were heirs to a legacy carved in fire. The first test came quickly. Alien cruisers surged toward the Guardian, weapons blazing, their beams struck. But shields shimmered around the ancient ship, bending light itself. Then, with a single pulse of its main weapon, the Guardian answered. A beam of blue light cut across the void. An entire alien battleship split in half. Its remains scattering like ash, the Armada reeled. Shock rippled through their ranks. On his throne, the Emperor's fists clenched. His voice thundered through the fleet. Destroy it, burn that world to ash. The Armada's firepower concentrated on the Guardian. Dozens of ships unleashed their fury. The sky lit like a sun, yet when the fire cleared, the Guardian still stood, its shields flickering, its weapons glowing, and behind it humanity rallied. Ships cheered across comms, morale surging like fire through their veins. For the first time they saw the Armada falter. For the first time they saw the Emperor hesitate. The Guardian raised its voice again, echoing through the stars. The war of the ancients is not finished. The torch has passed, fight humans fight, and claim your place among the stars. Hope spread through the battered fleets. Humanity was no longer prey, humanity was no longer alone. The Emperor believed Earth was only a child to be broken. But Earth had awoken the inheritance of warriors older than his empire, and with the Guardian at their side, humanity was ready to carve their defiance into the heart of the Armada. Above Earth, the night sky was no longer dark. It blazed with fire, wreckage, and the light of war. The Armada had unleashed its fury, and humanity had answered with the awakening of the Guardian. But now the storm would reach its peak. The Emperor had grown tired of games, and the final assault was beginning. The Emperor's flagship, vast as a floating continent, moved into position. Its shadow swallowed the stars. Weapons the size of mountains slid from its hull, glowing with deadly light across the fleet. Alien commanders barked orders. Their warships tightened formation. Their hunger was clear. They would not stop until Earth itself cracked. In the United Nations bunker, General Soren's voice shook the silence. This is it. They are coming with everything. If we break here, humanity dies, no one argued. No one asked for surrender, they all understood. This was the last stand across the world. Every surviving ship was launched. Warships rose from oceans, frigates streaked from hidden hangars. Battered cruisers limped into the sky, all of them scarred, all of them bloodied, but none of them broken. Ilara sat in the cockpit of the Resolute Dawn. Her hands were steady on the controls, her eyes fixed on the massive shadow of the Emperor's flagship. She whispered to herself, "We've come too far to fall now." The Guardian hovered above the Earth, its black hull glowing with blue veins of energy. Its voice rumbled through the comms like thunder. "Stand together, strike as one. The fire of humanity will not be extinguished." The Armada attacked first. The flagship fired a beam so bright it split clouds across Earth's sky. Mountains crumbled. Oceans rippled with shockwaves. Dozens of human ships were incinerated instantly, but the Guardian moved. Its shields flared, absorbing the storm. It answered with a pulse of light that carved through a line of alien destroyers. Human fleets surged behind it, turning despair into fury. The battle exploded in every direction. Drones swarmed like locusts. Alien fighters tore through them with scythes of fire. Carriers vomited streams of bombers. Plasma beams lanced across the void. The wreckage of ships old and new turned space into a graveyard. Ilara's squadron darted forward, weaving between alien cruisers. She fired her torpedoes into an engine core. The explosion tore the ship apart. Her voice rang over the comms. "Another down! Keep pressing." But for every ship destroyed, more alien vessels advanced. The Armada's numbers were endless, their firepower overwhelming one by one. Human ships vanished from the radar, voices cut off mid-scream inside the bunker. Leaders clenched their fists as red markers vanished from the maps. "We cannot hold," one whispered, but Soren's eyes burned with defiance. "We will hold, even if it takes our last breath." Above, the Guardian unleashed another wave of destruction, but the Emperor's flagship countered with monstrous fire. For every alien ship the Guardian destroyed, the flagship erased a human fleet. The Emperor rose from his throne. His voice boomed across his fleet. "Burn them all. Show these insects the price of defiance." His golden eyes gleamed with madness. He was no longer calm, no longer patient, only wrath remained. Ilara's ship shuddered as debris slammed against it. Her shields failed, alarms screamed. Her co-pilot cried out, "We can't take another hit." Her teeth clenched. "We don't need to take hits, we give them back." She dove toward an alien battleship, missiles firing. Her ship roared past as the enemy vessel erupted into flames. But even as she cheered, another human cruiser was torn apart nearby. The sky was a slaughter. Humanity was bleeding. The Guardian's shields flickered as the flagship hammered it with endless fire. Even its ancient power began to waver, and yet something strange began to happen. On the edges of the battle, smaller alien ships began to falter. Some broke formation. Others hesitated. Confusion rippled through the Armada. A signal spread, whispers of doubt because the humans would not break. Even in ruin, even in fire, they fought. They fought harder than any species the Armada had ever faced. The courage of humanity spread like a sickness, infecting even the Emperor's soldiers. Some alien captains turned their ships aside, refusing to slaughter civilians. A few even fired upon their own, betraying the Armada. They saw something in humanity they had not seen in centuries. Hope. General Soren seized the moment. His voice roared across every channel. "Look, even their own see the truth. The Emperor's reign is not eternal. Press them, break them here, break them now." The Guardian raised its massive form, battered but still burning with light. "This is the hour," it thundered. "Stand together, and the stars will never forget your name." Humanity surged with renewed fury. Ships that should have retreated pressed forward instead. Fighters without shields still charged. Bombers with broken engines still dropped their payloads. Even damaged warships rammed themselves into alien cruisers, dragging them into fire. Ilara's eyes burned with tears as she pushed her failing ship into the fight. "We are not prey," she whispered. "We are the storm." The Armada staggered. Their formations cracked. Betrayals spread like wildfire. The Emperor's voice thundered with rage. "Cowards! Traitors, I will burn your worlds next." But it was too late. Humanity had turned the tide. Still, the battle was not yet won. The Emperor's flagship loomed, unstoppable, its weapons glowing brighter. preparing one final strike, a blast that could erase the Guardian, erase Earth, erase everything, inside the bunker. General Soren gave the final order. His voice was steady, but his eyes knew the cost. Prepare the last gamble. If we fall, let it be while tearing the heart out of the beast. Above Earth, as fire consumed the skies, the last stand reached its peak. Humanity stood bloodied but unbroken, and before them loomed the Emperor, ready to deliver the killing blow. The next move would decide the fate of the galaxy. The Emperor's flagship loomed like a god of death above Earth. Its weapons burned brighter than suns, the glow of its cannons casting shadows across half the planet. Every human screen lit up with warning signals. The Armada was preparing one final strike, one blow powerful enough to erase the Guardian, the fleets, and the last hope of humanity. In the bunker, silence held the room like a noose. Generals, presidents, and soldiers all stared at the maps. Red with destruction, no one spoke, no one breathed. It felt like the end. Then General Soren's voice cut through the dread. Low but steady. This is the moment. Either we break or they do. We have only one choice left. Ilara sat in her battered cockpit aboard the Resolute Dawn. Her ship barely held together by sparks and hope. Her hands trembled, but her eyes burned with fury. She whispered, "One choice, one chance." The Guardian drifted between Earth and the flagship, its shields flickering, its hull scarred. Its voice rumbled like thunder across every human channel. The ancients left me for this, not to endure, but to finish humanity. Hear me. We strike together, we end this. The plan was madness. The humans would use the spear weapon again, but this time aimed at the Emperor's flagship itself. To pierce a vessel that vast would require everything. Fleets, drones, even the Guardian pouring all their strength into one impossible blow. It was suicide, but it was the only path. The Armada prepared to fire, energy gathered in the flagship's core, waves of light building like a storm ready to consume the world. The Emperor rose from his throne, his golden eyes shining with cruelty. This planet dies tonight, and its ashes will mark the edge of my empire. General Soren's voice roared across the comms. All ships, spear formation now. Human fleets shifted into place, broken warships dragging themselves forward. Fighters swarming around the Guardian, drones linking into a lattice of light. They formed a corridor straight toward the Emperor's flagship. At its heart, the Guardian glowed. Ancient power surging, Ilara's heart pounded. Her ship was in the front lines guiding the formation. Her eyes locked on the massive shadow ahead. She whispered, "For Earth," and pushed the throttle. The Armada unleashed its fury. Plasma beams cut through the void. Human ships shattered in waves of fire. Explosions lit the darkness like dying stars. But the formation held. Every ship that fell was replaced by another. Every gap filled with steel and sacrifice. The Guardian's voice grew louder, shaking even the alien channels. Your empire is dust, Emperor. Your throne is ash. Humanity rises, the Emperor snarled. His hands clenched, his voice thundered across the Armada. You think yourself warriors? You are ants before the storm, and I am the storm. His flagship fired, a beam of destruction erupted. Wide as mountains, unstoppable. It tore through the corridor, annihilating dozens of ships. The Resolute Dawn shook violently, alarm screaming. Ilara bit down a cry as sparks exploded across her cockpit. Her co-pilot shouted, "We're losing power." Not yet, Ilara whispered. Her ship, broken and bleeding, still flew forward. The Guardian gathered its strength. Its ancient weapon pulsed, light burning brighter than the sun. The human fleets poured every ounce of energy into the spear. The corridor glowed, a river of fire aimed at one target. The final command rang, "Release the spear." A lance of pure destruction erupted, tearing through the void. It slammed into the Emperor's flagship. Shields flared, metal screamed. For a moment, it seemed the flagship would endure. Its size, its power, its arrogance, unbreakable. But then the Guardian added its full might. Its ancient core ignited, its voice roared. For the fallen, for the living, for the future. The combined strike tore through the flagship. The lance punched into its core. Flames erupted from its sides, towers of metal split. Whole sections of the ship cracked apart. On his throne, the Emperor rose, his golden eyes wide for the first time. Rage and disbelief twisted his face. Impossible. I am eternal. I am. His words were drowned as the ship's core detonated. The Emperor's flagship exploded in a storm of fire. The shockwave spread across the Armada. Alien ships faltered, some fled in terror, others fell silent. Their leader was gone, their will shattered. Ilara shielded her eyes as the explosion painted the sky. Her ship spun, nearly torn apart by the blast. But when the light faded, the flagship was no more. Only wreckage drifted where a god once stood. Across human channels, silence reigned. Then cheers erupted. Voices screamed in triumph. Laughter, tears, and cries of victory filled the comms. Humanity had done the impossible. The Guardian hovered in silence. Its hull broken, its light dimming. Its voice was faint but proud. The torch is yours now. Protect it, carry it. Never surrender it. And then, the great ship went dark, drifting into silence. Its purpose fulfilled on Earth, the fires still burned. Cities lay in ruins. Millions had been lost. But humanity stood victorious, not because they were stronger, but because they refused to bow. General Soren's voice echoed through the channels. Steady and proud, today we prove the truth. Humanity does not kneel. Humanity does not break. We are not the Empire's prey. We are its reckoning. Ilara closed her eyes. Exhausted, her ship drifted among wreckage and fire. Her chest ached with grief, but also with pride. She whispered, "We are still here." Above her, the stars shone once more. Free of the Armada's shadow, the galaxy was watching, and it would never see Earth the same way again. The invaders came to conquer, but they found something stronger than empires. They found a spirit that could not be broken. The stars no longer belonged to the Empire. They belonged to humanity, and humanity had only just begun its rise.